target, Iraq. Just when will the United States unleash an attack on Saddam Hussein? In depth tonight, details of the U.S. war plan. How will we strike? Storm front. El Nino rolls in again, bearing down on California. Tonight, a journey to the heart of this powerful and deadly storm. And home of the brave, the World War II heroes who fought enemies abroad and racism on the front lines.
From NBC News World Headquarters in New York, this is NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw.
Good evening. This is the week of the hard sell for the president and his key advisors. The week when they'll make their best case to the American public on why they may have to go after Saddam Hussein's military sites with a major attack. But there are some late diplomatic moves tonight, some new players, and some new concerns. NBC's Andrea Mitchell begins our coverage now. Andrea?
Tom, tonight the United Nations is pushing for yet another round of diplomacy with Iraq, despite U.S. worries that this could send a signal of weakness to Saddam Hussein.
UN Secretary General Kofi Annan's mission to Baghdad would represent the last chance for diplomacy.
No, I don't think it's over yet.
A diplomatic mission endorsed today by the Pope, by Saudi Arabia's King Fahd, and a parade of other Arab leaders.
We have to be very careful that all these envoys cooking up all these compromises don't help Saddam and hurt us.
Today, a UN team sent by Annan spent the day trying to survey Iraq's large restricted compounds, a team led by a Swede with no Americans and none of the usual UN inspectors. So far, U.S. officials say the trip has resulted in total confusion, as Iraqi guides kept changing the rules at each location. How does all this affect the timing of a military strike? The calendar is tight. No strike this week while the UN team is still in Baghdad, nor before Sunday when the Olympics will be over. And no strike next week if the UN Secretary General is still negotiating. But next week would be the best time for an air war, say military strategists. The new moon providing almost total darkness from February 24th to February 28th, cover for warplanes. Could personal considerations affect the timing? No one thinks the president would postpone an attack on February 27th, but he is scheduled to go to Parents' Weekend at Stanford. But U.S. officials say he would want to get any military action over before the annual pilgrimage of 2 million Muslims to the holy site of Mecca, mid-March. More important than when is whether the U.S. means business.
I don't believe we have the option of backing down now, but the cost of backing down would be a loss of credibility in the Gulf. All the small states in Saudi Arabia would doubt seriously that we would step up to the mark in a crisis.
So barring a diplomatic solution at the last minute, the U.S. could well strike in about 2 weeks. That would be the end of February, the beginning of March. While the president made no final decision at a meeting today, one senior official told NBC News, "We are definitely closing in on this." Tom?
Thanks very much, Andrea Mitchell, tonight at the State Department. Tomorrow, President Clinton goes to the Pentagon for a final report on U.S. readiness in the Gulf, and he'll personally outline the arguments for a military strike against Iraq. Tonight, NBC's Claire Shipman has a preview for us. Claire?
Tom, that's right. Well, tomorrow's noon speech to the American public will be the first time in this crisis with Iraq that the president speaks at length about the use of military force. And we're told he's going to follow these themes. First of all, explain the threat, why it's so important to the American people and to the world community. He'll then outline the danger of Saddam's weapons of mass destruction. Just how big is his deadly arsenal? He'll then list U.S. diplomatic efforts to date to make it plain that the U.S. has pushed for a peaceful solution. And finally, he'll make a case for military action if Saddam doesn't comply. Now, we're also told that the president will acknowledge the risks to U.S. troops, and he'll point out that he would still prefer a diplomatic solution. But the emphasis, said one official, is on standing firm. The president intends to cast this crisis as a test case for others in the 21st century. Tom?
Claire, do we know tonight whether the president is directly in touch with Kofi Annan of the United Nations?
Well, the White House, through representatives of the president, is in touch with Kofi Annan. And frankly, they're a little bit worried about his mission. They're concerned that there may be concessions made, proposals made that the U.S. doesn't quite agree with. But again, as one official said tonight, he said, look, a new proposal with new bells and whistles would be fine with us if Saddam really backed down. But we just don't think that's going to happen.
Thanks very much. Claire Shipman tonight at the White House. In Asia tonight, they're trying to figure out why the pilot of a China Airlines Airbus was so far off course as he approached for a landing in Taipei, Taiwan. The plane from Indonesia to Taiwan crashed during foul weather, killing all on board and several on the ground. NBC's Ned Cole tonight at the scene.
8:05 p.m. Witnesses see a fireball as the China Airlines jet plows into houses and cars, then bursts into flames. Only small pieces of the A300 Airbus are recognizable. There are charred bits of luggage, seats, and remains. Minutes earlier, the pilot tells the tower he cannot see the runway. There is heavy fog, and it is raining. The plane goes down on its second approach, falling several hundred yards from the runway.
If indeed poor visibility was the first factor in a chain of events which brought about this accident, the next factor that the investigators will be looking at was why the pilot allowed bad weather to cause an accident.
Rescue workers use flashlights in their search for survivors, though they fear all 196 people on board have been killed. It's believed 4 of them are Americans. Most of the passengers are Taiwanese returning from the holiday island resort of Bali. All 4 of this woman's children are on the jet. On the ground, at least 9 people dead, a baby found in the smoking wreckage, killed inside his home. This was not China Airlines' first tragedy. In 1994, another Airbus A300 crashed under disturbingly similar circumstances in Japan. 264 people were killed. Pilot error and technical problems were blamed. Aviation experts say China Airlines averages 1 serious accident a year. Rescue workers say they've given up the search for survivors. They've recovered the flight data and cockpit voice recorders and hope their contents may shed light on the cause of this worst ever air disaster in Taiwan. Ned Colt, NBC News, Taipei.
Still ahead tonight, investigating the president, a growing backlash against independent counsel Kenneth Starr. Is he out of bounds or just tone deaf?
Ken Starr has a political tin ear, and that is what has really hurt him.
Has Starr gone too far in his pursuit of Monica Lewinsky and the president? Up next, El Nino will take you right into the eye of the storm.
Has frequent heartburn been a persistent problem for you? Have you treated it but still suffer on 2 or more days a week? Do you keep getting heartburn even though you've changed your diet? Your heartburn may be due to a potentially serious condition called acid reflux disease. Ask your doctor if Prilosec is right for you. Just 1 Prilosec capsule daily can provide 24-hour acid control. Prilosec is not for everybody. Only your doctor can decide if it's right for you. The most common side effects are headache, diarrhea, and abdominal pain. To learn more, call this number, ask your doctor or pharmacist, or see our Life magazine ad. Want 24-hour acid control with just 1 daily capsule? Ask your doctor about Prilosec.
Multigrain Cheerios. I love these.
This is new Multigrain Cheerios Plus.
Plus what?
We added 100% of 10 vitamins and minerals.
Mm-hmm.
New Multigrain Cheerios Plus.
I love them. Now don't you go change it.
Did you know itchy, dry winter skin can get worse from hot water and soap? Did you know sometimes moisturizers aren't enough to relieve itchy patches of dry skin? And did you know, unlike these, only Cortisone 10 with aloe has moisturizers that soothe, plus a medicine to stop itch and help heal? When you have itchy patches of dry winter skin, even eczema or psoriasis, remember the power of 10. Cortisone 10. Powerful itch relief for the power to heal.
On the West Coast tonight, it's about to go from bad to worse. Weather forecasters say violent storms stirred up by, you guessed it, El Nino, are stacked up over the Pacific, taking dead aim at California. Stopping those storms is impossible, of course, but predicting their course is the work of storm chasers on a high-tech aircraft. NBC's Mike Betcher went up with them.
El Nino has come calling again. The latest storm could bring 4.5 inches of rain to Southern California tonight. The West Coast's saturated earth is giving way under the weight of the moisture. The newest mudslide covered roads near Ventura, while Northern California digs out from its own mess.
Some plastic bags.
Plastic bags we do need.
Weathermen are, however, fighting back. They can't stop the storms, but they can do a better job of prediction.
We'll have to use radar and eyeballs here.
So they've called in a secret weapon. That reliable aircraft, better known as a hurricane hunter, has been moved west with a new role. El Nino tracker.
One of the purposes of the project is to try to determine how to better forecast these landfalling storms.
Initially sent here by the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration to study how storms form in the Pacific, the mission changed when El Nino began battering the coast. So since the beginning of February, this P3 Orion has been flying into the middle of storm after storm. One of the primary purposes of this mission is to unravel the secrets of weather in the Pacific. After all, most of the country's weather forms here. Yet scientists know very little about why the weather forms and how it forms.
The Pacific Ocean is one of the biggest data voids there is on Earth. Unfortunately, there's not very many reporting stations out there.
But this aircraft, bristling with an array of radars and instruments, is the West Coast's best hope to provide vital information about where the storms will hit and how severe they will be.
We're taking the P3 aircraft offshore about 600 or 700 miles into the storms before they hit the coast.
But with only enough federal funding to keep the P3 Orion in California until the end of the month, the West Coast will be left without a valuable forecasting tool if the storms continue into late winter and spring. Still, during their short stay, the project scientists say they are succeeding in unlocking the secrets of Pacific weather and El Nino. Mike Betcher, NBC News, off the California coast.
Up next, NBC News in depth tonight, a plan of attack. Was the Pentagon poised to hit Saddam last month? Surprising new information tonight in depth.
Love lobster? Dive into Lobster Fest at Red Lobster with the lowest Lobster Fest prices in 6 years. Delicious appetizers like lobster pizza, mouth-watering double stuffed lobster, plus all your favorites. So come on, get cracking. You don't want to miss Lobster Fest at Red Lobster, because life on land is dry.
When I have arthritis pain, I want relief fast. I can't wait. When I rub in Aspercreme, it brings fast relief for minor arthritis pain. The relief lasts for hours, and it's odor-free.
Aspercreme, pain relief without aspirin.
Nobody does it like you.
In test after test, new wind tunnel by Hoover picks up more dirt than any other clean air upright.
Nobody
Wind tunnel by Hoover.
does it like you.
Sweet honey, crunchy nuts on classic Kellogg's Corn Flakes. Nothing pulls a family together like Kellogg's Honey Crunch Corn Flakes.
Oh, sorry, did I wake you?
Kellogg's Honey Crunch Corn Flakes, an altogether great breakfast.
Dateline Tuesday. She was brutally raped.
I thought I was gonna die.
But then she claims the man who raped her reached out from death row to victimize her again.
I started shaking. I was in shock.
With a graphic book describing her nightmare. Can she win her fight to keep him from cashing in on his crimes? Dateline NBC Tuesday.
NBC News in depth tonight, Iraq and the secret battle plan that was actually in place last month. NBC News has learned the plan was ready, but the order never came to use it. Of course, there's a major U.S. military presence in the Gulf region tonight. 26,000 troops, 3,000 more who got their marching orders today. 16 Navy ships, 325 aircraft there as well. And as NBC's Jim Miklashevsky tells us tonight, in depth, they were good to go almost a month ago.
Despite all the talk of diplomacy, NBC News has learned that the White House asked the Pentagon to prepare a plan to attack Iraq during the final 2 weeks in January. Increasingly frustrated by Saddam Hussein, the White House wanted a military option, according to administration and Pentagon sources. The battle plan was drawn and delivered to President Clinton, but he never made the decision to carry it out. That plan does, however, provide a blueprint for what may be coming, possible airstrikes against Iraq. Sources say the plan called for 3 separate waves of airstrikes over 8 days beginning January 20th. The first wave to knock out Iraq's air defenses. In the early morning darkness, cruise missiles launched from American ships and F-117 stealth fighters from bases in Kuwait would pound anti-aircraft missile batteries and Iraqi military communications. 2 days later, the second wave, a massive bombing campaign to punish Saddam Hussein and cripple his military capability. More cruise missiles fired from ships and B-52 bombers, along with precision-guided weapons dropped from other American warplanes against a wide range of military targets.
Elements of the Republican Guard, the Iraqi Air Force, their ammunition depots, their resupply depots, thereby weakening him vis-a-vis his neighbors. So the weaker he gets, the less of a threat he poses against his neighbors.
A third wave of airstrikes 5 days later would go after any targets that had survived the initial onslaught. But sources say the Pentagon battle plan offered no guarantees that airstrikes alone would find or take out chemical or biological weapon sites.
So we will destroy a lot of buildings, we will dig up a lot of bunkers, but we may not get what we're looking for.
But there were bigger reasons that the January attack was ultimately rejected. The military wanted more time to build up its forces in the Gulf for a more sustained air campaign against Iraq. And the attack would have come even before Secretary of State Albright's swing through Europe and the Middle East to drum up support for military strikes.
In the past, the United States had a bad habit of calling up its allies as the missiles were in the air and saying, oh, by the way, there are going to be some missiles impacting in Iraq. Would you please support us?
The Pentagon is always working on contingency battle plans. But the timeliness and specifics of this plan, including the dates, indicates just how close the White House may be to ordering airstrikes against Iraq. Jim Miklashevsky, NBC News, the Pentagon.
This footnote, if and when U.S. forces do strike Iraq, a new weapon may be used. It's a 2,000-pound bomb that can penetrate underground bunkers as deep as 40 feet. Still ahead here tonight, the home of the brave. We're going to go back more than 50 years, the men of the 761st. How they won a world war while fighting an even tougher battle on a second one.
Only by going alone in silence can one get into the heart of the wilderness. All other travel is mere dust and hotels and baggage and chatter.
When heartburn and pain get you, don't get any of these for complete relief. Problems this bad need Alka-Seltzer, the only one with effervescent power to speed relief, plus medicines for all your symptoms. The 100% solution, Alka-Seltzer.
Eileen Smith, Staples manager, passionate about low prices, never suspecting that just across town lived her identical twin, Stella, office manager, separated at birth. Then came the day that was bound to happen.
Excuse me, how much is this hole puncher? 79 cents. I don't believe it. Just 79 cents? That's amazing! I know, isn't it great? Yeah!
For guaranteed low prices and a full-service copy and print center, it's Staples. Yeah, we've got that.
Wouldn't it make sense to eat more of something you love if you knew it was good for your heart? Well, soluble fiber from oatmeal as part of a heart-healthy diet may reduce the risk of heart disease. Quaker oatmeal. Wouldn't it make sense to have it more often?
2 hours? All right, we'll be waiting. What are you going to miss in school today?
Nothing. What are you going to miss?
You want to see?
Weather outside is frightful. Daddy, you got email.
I did, didn't I? You gotta get some foots out. You want to help me? Hey, you faxed it.
Place to go. Let it snow. We're still working. Come back later.
New PocketNet service, only from AT&T.
Now to the hotspots making news tonight. Texas, the case of Diane Zamora is now in the hands of a jury. In closing statements, prosecutors say the former Navy cadet demanded that her boyfriend kill a woman with whom he'd had a one-night stand. Zamora's lawyers insisted the boyfriend acted alone. Italy, 3 separate pileups on a foggy highway between Rome and Naples take at least 4 lives and injure 50. Some 150 cars and trucks are involved. Michigan, Detroit's Metropolitan Airport takes last place in a ranking of overall quality among the nation's top 36 airports. The survey of 90,000 airline passengers gives top billing to the airport in Tampa, Florida. In Washington tonight, it's anyone's move in the battle between Whitewater prosecutor Ken Starr and Monica Lewinsky's lawyer William Ginsburg. He came out swinging today. NBC's Lisa Myers says he's not the only one taking aim at the special prosecutor these days.
Monica Lewinsky's lawyer hammered independent counsel Ken Starr again today, accusing him of prosecutorial misconduct.
I've said it's abusive, and I continue to believe it's abusive. I think it's stepped over bounds.
It's no longer just the White House and Lewinsky's team taking aim at Starr. He's taken a public relations beating since this spectacle last week. Monica's mother, Marcia Lewis, leaving the grand jury, distraught, unable to continue after 2 days of grilling about her daughter's sex life and whether she encouraged Monica and others to lie to protect the president. Even some former prosecutors now say Starr's tactics are overkill, tactics usually used against mobsters and drug lords.
As a matter of practice, I think he's crossed the line.
By essentially going nuclear in terms of his tactics.
By getting much more aggressive than anything we've ever seen in Watergate or in Iran-Contra or any of the other independent counsel cases to date.
But other former prosecutors insist Starr's tactics are both reasonable and justified.
They're used by the Clinton Justice Department against the clients I represent every single day. I don't think we ought to have different techniques for the president and everybody else.
Family members often are forced to testify against each other. Tim McVeigh's sister testified against him in the Oklahoma bombing case. Mothers often must testify against children in drug cases. But even those who approve of Starr's tactics say he has hurt himself by not realizing how the public would react. Polls show that almost 2/3 of Americans now believe Starr is on a partisan crusade.
Ken Starr has a political tin ear. And that is what has really hurt him, as opposed to any tactic that he's used.
Sources close to the investigation say Starr has made a conscious decision to continue to play rough, hoping his results will outweigh criticism of his tactics. Despite the public outcry, sources expect Monica's mother will be called back before the grand jury, though not immediately. As for Monica herself, sources close to her defense now do not expect her to testify until next week and see virtually no chance of a deal with Starr in the meantime. Lisa Myers, NBC News, Washington.
We'll be right back. The beginning of a special series called The Home of the Brave. They helped win the war. What do they think more than 50 years later about the other fight they had?
How much butter does it take for mouth-watering mashed potatoes? None. Use Swanson broth instead. Rich, golden Swanson chicken broth adds loads of flavor, and it's 99% fat-free. Put in Swanson broth instead of butter for delicious mashed potatoes that are light, fluffy, and low in fat. And now Swanson broth also comes in a resealable carton, so adding flavor without adding fat's a snap. Recipe after recipe. Swanson broth, when all you want to add is flavor.
When painful gas makes me feel like this, I take a little pill that looks like this.
Gas X Soft Gels. As much gas medicine as this much Mylanta. Concentrated for fast relief. Try extra strength Gas X Soft Gels.
Sweet honey, crunchy nuts on classic Kellogg's cornflakes. Nothing pulls a family together like Kellogg's Honey Crunch cornflakes.
Oh, sorry, did I wake you?
Kellogg's Honey Crunch cornflakes. An altogether great breakfast.
Why all these laxatives?
Why not?
They have ingredients that may cause cramps.
Says who?
Says on the label. Phillips is the only one that doesn't. Don't you know nothing's better?
He knows now.
Phillips Effective Relief without harsh ingredients.
This is Dusty. She's a mighty dog. What makes her so mighty? New prime cuts and pate from Mighty Dog. The food that's made with the perfect balance of nutrients to meet her special energy needs. Tender chunks of beef and gravy over a thick layer of pate. It's two great tastes in one can. Your dog will love it. New prime cuts and pate, only from Mighty Dog.
He was a prisoner on a death march in a brutal war. 10,000 died, but a stunning coincidence and an act of mercy spared him. Home of the Brave, NBC Nightly News tomorrow.
Tonight, Sharon Stone, Michelle Pfeiffer, and Julia Roberts reveal how they became Hollywood's leading ladies. On Time and Again with Jane Pauley, tonight on MSNBC.
Tonight, with the countdown underway to the end of the century, we're beginning a series called Home of the Brave. The men and women who will be front and center of any review of the 20th century, the American veterans who saved the world with their victory in World War II. And as NBC's Fred Francis tells us tonight, some of them were forced to fight their war on two fronts.
Loud noise, a hard snow, wet feet still bring back haunting memories for Johnny Holmes of the bloody winter of '45 when he fought his way across Europe. Like millions of GIs, combat is still the defining event in his life.
Each time your stomach knots up, but the moment that first shot is fired, all fear leaves.
Holmes and his black unit, the 761st, battled both Germans and racism. A segregated America didn't trust blacks on the front lines.
The prevailing view was that Negro soldiers couldn't fight.
That is right. That was it. Right.
But Holmes' unit was there. So proud of their service, Holmes and his war buddies Lawrence Bailey, 80, and John Holt, 76, wore uniforms to meet us.
They expected the black troops to fail. They'd run. They wouldn't stand up and fight.
Even when some of our tanks were coming back through some of the towns from a major battle, shot up with holes in them, and some of our buddies' blood was spattered around inside them. The white soldiers and officers told the villagers, those niggers ain't up there. They're just fighting. They're just bringing the tanks up for the white boys to fight with.
The 761st slugged it out with German units for 183 straight days of heavy combat. They earned the respect of whites and praise from a leader they admired, General George Patton.
He said, I don't care what color you are, as long as you kill them damn Krauts.
Patton called on the 761st dozens of times after it proved its mettle in the Battle of the Bulge, helping to rescue a division cut off by a German attack. Even that enemy respected me.
This German major said to me, and he shocked the living hell out of me, he says, why are you over here fighting? He said, this is a white man's war.
Gentlemen, was it a white man's war?
I think it was America's war.
Yeah. It's amazing, 50 years later, you're still so filled with pride.
Don't you know, when you get over there and the nation's in trouble, you ain't got no black and white. You got just Americans.
Mm-hmm.
Historians say the men of the 761st fought with great distinction. They say they fought as equals and then some. Fred Francis, NBC News, Chicago.
Tomorrow night, a remarkable story of courage in the face of defeat.
We knew we couldn't win. We didn't have ammunition. The ammunition that we did have was old and there were duds.
Losing battle, but they won that war. The Home of the Brave will continue tomorrow night. That's Nightly News for this Monday. I'm Tom Brokaw, and I'll see you back here tomorrow night.
This week on Today, the good, the bad, and the deadly. A special series on cholesterol. What you need to know for your health, only on Today.
Tonight on NBC, the blockbuster motion picture. Tom Cruise, Jack Nicholson, Demi Moore, Kevin Bacon, Kiefer Sutherland, Kevin Pollak, and Noah Wiley.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
A Few Good Men, tonight at an early time, 8/7 Central on NBC.